Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be looking at another type of classification evaluation metrics. This is going to be the last one we're going to be looking at, and that classification metric is called Classification Report. Okay, so this is going to be the last one that we're going to look at, and then after this we're going to progress on to looking at regression models. Okay, so if you haven't already, please watch the previous video and it will get you a bit caught up on what we have been doing so far, so you understand what we're doing in this video. And please make sure you subscribe as well if you haven't. So now what we're going to do is we're obviously going to start using this classification report metric. So classification report is basically an overview of the whole let's say it's an overview of how your model's been doing based on each metric. Okay, so you'll see what this means when we start using it. So it's very simple to just import this. So we're going to go from Scikit-Learn.metrics. So this is where we'll probably get all of our metrics from, evaluation metrics. So from there we want to import classification report. Okay, so simple as that. Just make sure you put a underscore between classification and report. And then what we're going to do is if you want to view it, we need to print it out. So we're going to go print, and then we're going to go classification report. And then once we've done that, all we need to do is we need to pass in y-test. So that's the truth. So in essence, literally all the evaluation metrics we've been looking at so far, all they've been doing is sort of comparing our predictions with the truth. So that is why we need to pass in y-test and our predictions, which is known as y-preds. And it won't actually take that long, but this is what it looks like when you print it out. So that actually looks really confusing, as there's stuff like precision, recall, F1 score, and support. So I will show you how to decipher these in a slide. Okay, so this is classification report explained. So this is basically all the code we wrote just before. So from Scikit-Learn.metrics, import classification report, and then here we just print it out. So this is basically our color-coded classification report. So these two numbers over here, these are the classes. So these are the two options our model could have predicted, because it's a classification model there's only two classes for it. And these are the metrics down here. So these are the evaluation metrics that are part of this classification report. And these up here are some other things. They don't really have names for it, but they are different things you can look at to sort of evaluate your things. So they can be called as metrics as well, and I'm pretty sure they are. So this first precision one, so precision in this classification report, it's the proportion of correct identifications among each class. So this is the proportion of how many zeros the model predicted correctly, and this is how many ones the model predicted correctly out of all the ones, and this is out of all the zeros. And then this one is the proportion of all the correctly found positive instances. So it is basically the same as precision, but it's just known as something else because sometimes it can vary from precision as well. So this is basically the same here because they're quite balanced. So here we've got F1 score. So this is basically the harmonic mean between the precision and recall. So the harmonic mean is the reciprocal of the average of the reciprocal. So a bit of math there. That is basically what it does, and there's this diagram down here that explains what it does. And then the last thing up here, we've got support, and this is the number of samples in each class or metric that was tested on. So this is basically, so there are 29 samples in the whole of our set of samples. that was 0, and there was 32 samples of 1. And altogether here you can see that there were 61 samples altogether. So now let's move at these bottom 3 metrics over here. So we've got accuracy, and that accuracy bit is where we we've come across this before. It's just the accuracy of the model in decimal form. So here it says that the accuracy was 0.8, which isn't actually a bad score. That's the accuracy. And then for support, it was tested on all 61 samples of our whole data set. So there are 61 samples in our YPREDS and Y test. So that's why it says 61 there. And then for these next two, they use 61 as well. So next one is macro average. So this is the average precision, recall, and F1 score between classes. So then basically, if you're using the macro average metric, it does not take into account any class imbalances. So class imbalances are when there's a really big difference between two results for a class. So if this one says 0.79 for 0 and this one says 0.891, this isn't really considered a class imbalance, although they are different. There's only like 0.02 difference. So that's not really a class imbalance. So if you do have any big class imbalances, pay attention to this metric because it won't take them into account. The next one here is weighted average. So the weighted average is basically the weighted average of precision, recall, and F1 score between the classes. And weighted means that each metric is calculated with respect depending on the number of samples in each class. So that means that our one class, the class 1, it will outperform class 0 because it has more metrics. So this is the weighted average. It will give one a higher score because it's got a bigger number of samples. So this is basically the classification report explained. So now, since we have understood it, we should now go into some scenarios of where and when we would use it. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we're back onto our Jupyter Notebook. So we're going to discuss a scenario of where precision and recall would come valuable, and also the classification report. So I'm just going to put a comment here to be a bit informative. Where precision and recall become valuable. Okay, so let's say our scenario was that you had 1,000 patients and one of them had heart disease. So someone asked you to create a model that would predict which one had the heart disease. So that's our scenario. We would have to use classification report and precision and recall for this because we need more feedback and things just to improve our model. So we're gonna go disease true. Okay, so that is what we're gonna do for this is we're gonna create a NumPy array, and it's gonna be full of zeros for now, and 1,000 to represent the 1,000 patients without heart disease. And then we're gonna say disease true again. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the first one is gonna have heart disease. Okay, so that's our one patient that has heart disease. So this would say only one positive case, as I said in the scenario. And then we're going to create just a predictions array. So disease preds is equal to np.zeros. So let's just say we want 1,000 zeros. So let's just say that our model predicts every case as 0. Okay, so not very good model. It hasn't predicted that good. And then we're going to create a data frame for our classification report so we can view it a bit better. So this is where we can use a classification report. So pd.dataFrame, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put in our classification report. So there we go. So classification report. And then, so we're going to put in disease true. So this is the actual original array that had all the records. And then you have disease pred. So this is what our model has predicted. And then we're also going to put in one more thing called output dict, which is equal to true. You'll see why we put it to true in a moment. So this is giving us an error, so that's because it's a name error. There you go. So the reason we put output dict is true, because if you put it to false, what it's going to do is going to give you a value error, a very big one. So we're just going to set it to true for now, and then we have it there. So this is what it looks like as a pandas data frame. It is basically what we just discussed before, except it's just flipped around on they just switched the rows and columns around. So first thing for precision, it's giving us that we have it says so 0.0 was predicted as 1. So none of the models predicted 1, but then we had recall, so that basically means that all of the things were the model predicted all of it as 0, so that's why I put 1.0. And then the F1 score, we brought the harmonic mean again, and that says 0.9995. And then for support, we had in the actual array, we had 999 samples that was 0, and only one sample that was 1. Okay, and then we've got our accuracy. So it says our accuracy here is 0.999, and the macro average is all of these, and then here's our weighted average. Okay, so that is basically where it comes in handy, where you can sort of see where your model is gone wrong. So basically, in essence, what it's trying to do is it's trying to use all our models and putting it in a single report, but in a different way. So that is basically the end of looking at our classification evaluation metrics. In the next few videos, we're going to be looking at regression evaluation metrics, and we're going to learn how to evaluate a regression model. So if you are willing to search for more ways, you can actually evaluate a machine learning model. What you can do is you can search up evaluation metrics classification Scikit-Learn. Okay, and then you click on the one that says metrics and scoring, quantifying the quality of, and then it says Scikit-Learn. Okay, so this is basically what it says. Okay, so it says stuff like all of this, and then there's this really big table here, and if you go to the classification section, we've got some of these are the ones that we've already done, but there's also others, and there's documentations on these of how you can use them. So yeah, so I guess that's all you need to know in classification metrics. But if you're willing to do more, please make sure that you just go check out that website. It's a really good one, and then you'll learn a few more if you would like. So yeah, I guess that is the end of this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. That would really help. If in doubt, please comment in the comment section below. And I guess that's the end of the video. Bye.